Hey, everybody, and welcome to the February 2023 Builder Town Hall. I'm Meredith Oliver, president and founder of Meredith Communications. We do digital marketing for home builders. So website design and development, search engine optimization, social media management, OSC, online sales specialist, consulting training. We do all those things. And I wouldn't do anything else. After 20 years, it still makes my heart and my stomach flutter a little bit every time we get a big success and we see an uptick in an increase in conversion rate from some campaign we've done, or just have somebody say, hey, I got a lot out of that training. It really impacted me. That just still makes my day and makes it totally worth it. I see a lot of you introducing yourself in chat. Please keep it coming. We want all of you to get to know each other and to enjoy the experience. So I have a couple of initial comments, welcome opening things for you, and then we're going to dive right into our panel. So stay tuned. At the very end today, I'm going to give you, so don't leave early. At the very end today, I will be giving you tips, really practical things you could do to maximize what you learned at the conference, at the Builder Show, or from our town hall today, or anytime you're attending a meeting and you just feel kind of overwhelmed and dumped on by all of the information that you take in and the 50 pages of notes you took. What do you do with all of that? So I'll be helping you process that, prioritize it, and figure out a way to polish it into something that you can really actually use and doesn't just get stuck in a notebook on the shelf. So welcome to the Best of the Builder Show Town Hall Edition. When I was doing my sign behind me this morning for broadcast today, I started to do Best of IBS. And then I just thought, there's a lot of folks that see this that might not understand we are not talking about irritable bowel syndrome. So I decided to spell it out on my side. So yeah, Best of the Builder Show. We have a couple different goals for today's session. First, there are some of you that did not get to attend. Some of you in Dallas just never frankly got there. You tried really hard, but due to an ice storm and transportation challenges, you just didn't ever arrive. Some of you, it wasn't an option for you to attend, or you were too busy or whatever. So this is a chance for you to learn some of the things that we learned while we were there. And then others of you attended, but you didn't get to hear everything you wanted to. There's so much overlap. So this is another opportunity for you to expand and continue that process. So I want to first start off with Meredith's metrics. If you aren't familiar, this is a segment I do on almost every town hall where I just kind of talk about where we are in terms of website traffic, model home traffic, leads, conversions, kind of what is the outlook, what's it looking like? And the outlook looks hot, like my jacket, which I picked out for since it's the Valentine's Day month. I went for a hot pink jacket today. It looks terrific. I am super impressed with the January 2023 traffic numbers that I'm seeing so far. Please chime in. How about you? I would love to hear if you're, feeling great about it, seeing about the same, or kind of where you feel like you're landing. So light up our chat with that as I go through a few numbers. First up, I wanted to mention to you that the January 23 website traffic numbers that we're tracking for our builder clients equals, this might be interesting to you, equals the same, just about the same number of total website visits as the third best month of 2022, which was April. So April 2022 was the peak, highest month of website traffic for the year for 2022, and January 23 is at April levels. That's kind of interesting. As we would expect, January traffic is up over December. It always is. So that's not that shocking. It's up 32%, which is a pretty big number, but we would expect that. But here's the number I really liked, which was new visitors, first-time visitors, up 28%, January 23 over December 22. So month over month, we're looking really, really strong. So then I thought, well, how does January 23 compare to January of last year? You know, let's get the holidays out of the mix so that we're not looking month over month. And I've got a 33% increase. So still like that third, we're kind of hovering around that number almost on all of my metrics, third over. So that looks really good. The total visits aren't as high as January 22, but the percentage is up. So I love that. The other thing I checked out was keyword search activity, because this is always a good way to kind of look and see what demand is looking like. Google's reporting homes for sale. So the keyword string homes for sale, and you could add to it in Boise, in Orlando, in Raleigh, but that root keyword up 22% over the last 3 months compared to the previous 3. So homes for sale as well as home builder, people Googling home builder, that's also up around a 30% margin. So we're looking good. We have traffic, like we are looking way better than we have in several months, through the fall, through the election and the inflation and the interest rates. I wasn't quite sure where we were going for 23, but it kind of feels like people came out of the holidays, consumers kind of dusted themselves off and said, it is what it is. I'm buying a home anyway. And here they are. I also will definitely admit, and I think many of you have offered price improvements, we'll put it that way, which has probably helped you to be a little more competitive. And also, many of you have got interest rate and rate lock packages, which is also helping you to be more competitive, which you might not have had in the previous time period that I'm comparing some of these numbers, because at that point, everything was kind of just hitting and we were scrambling to figure out, okay, how do we do this? What do we do? How do we kind of get people feeling more comfortable and decrease risk? And a lot of you came up with those programs and it's worked out really well. So the builder show for me was very overwhelming. I don't know what numbers you've seen, but the combined, what they call Design Construction Week, DCW, Design Construction Week. And so that is the International Builder Show. That's the Kitchen and Bath Show. That's the hardware show. Floor coverings, I think, might have been in there. There's several expo conferences going at the same time. Combined attendance, 200,000. And I believe it. There was nowhere to sit down. There was nowhere to get anything to eat. And there were no seats in any seminars. It was pretty amazing. So it was very busy, which led to a lot of great energy and great conversations. So that was really cool. Oh, Jody, I love that. Jody, it's nice to see you and hear from you in chat. Jody Hansen with Anderson Hansen Blanton in Dallas. She was just commenting in chat, sales up drastically in the Dallas area. So it's great news. Yeah, I love that. So yeah, if you have good news, feel free to chime in and share it with us. Before I bring the panel in, I'll tell you this. One of the coolest things at the show wasn't actually anything to do with home builders, but the Las Vegas Convention Center is built a whole brand new building. The West Wing, we'll call it, basically doubles the size of the convention center. If you walk from the previous buildings, north and south halls, if you walk to west, you're in for a 20 to 25-minute walk. That's how big and how far apart these buildings are. So the Las Vegas Convention Center used what's called the boring company, not like boring, but like boring giant drill bit, boring like a hole. And the boring company bored out underneath the two buildings a loop, a giant loop, in which they ran nonstop Teslas to get you from one building to the other building. It was so cool. It was one of the coolest things. And they were not driverless. They did have drivers. Even on the peak days, the wait was not very long. They had a lot of these cars running, and they could fit probably about 4 in there. It's not a lot of people, but you would hop in and then you would go down into the tunnel, into the loop. You would come out kind of like in a subway station type thing underground, take the escalator up and pop up. And all of a sudden, here was the north, central, south halls that we were all used to being in. And you had not had you hadn't sweat or done anything, and it saved you the giant walk. It was awesome. My understanding is the plan is to do this underneath the strip so that everybody can get up and down the Las Vegas Strip using the same exact thing, which I think is amazing. Really cool urban planning at work. So if anybody else enjoyed the thing, I enjoyed the Tesla loop, let me know. Oh, Kathy, thank you for chiming in. Kathleen Browning is chiming in. Yeah, it's 5 shows in one: International Builder Show, Kitchen and Bath, Hardware, International Surfaces Show, and Las Vegas Market, which is home furnishings. Yeah, so between all of that, 200,000 people. It's the most people I've been around since the pandemic. It was a little weird at first, but turned out to be really cool. All right, so what you've been waiting for, let's just launch right into the meat of our conversation. I want to invite Erin, Rob, and Reyna back on to the screen here. We'll give them a second to get back on camera and get unmuted. If you're muted, Erin, it looks like you, oh, there we go. Very good. Let me introduce these fine, beautiful people to you. First of all, I want you to really give them a lot of love and props in the chat, because they're as exhausted as the rest of us coming back from the show. And I hit them up to give their time and energy to this today. So it's a lot, and we appreciate it. Carrie and Angela and I appreciate it, and I want all of you to appreciate it. So show them your love and encouragement in chat, please. So let me introduce, first up, Reyna Estrada. Reyna, let me get the right, here we go, is the National Internet Sales Manager, National Internet Sales Manager for MI Homes. She's based out of Raleigh, right where I am, but we're not in the same place today. But thank you, Reyna. We're so glad you're here.
Thanks, Meredith.
Yeah, and then also I want you to meet Rob Krohn. He's the Vice President of Marketing for Epcon Communities. He's in their corporate office at Columbus, Ohio. Also Vice President of Marketing for their franchise division. Welcome, Rob.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're so glad. And last but not least, someone whose birthday might have been yesterday, so you can wish her happy birthday in the chat. Welcome, Erin Hurley. She's Director of Business Development for Lita, Dirks and Company, based out of Denver, Colorado, but you guys work all over the country, of course. But I always like to know where everyone's broadcasting from, just because I'm nosy like that. Welcome, Erin.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
Yeah, we're so glad you're here. All right, so Rob, I'm going to kick this off with you. Just so our audience is aware, like what I asked of our panelists today was just to go through their legal pads or iPads, whatever they use to take notes, and just highlight some of the learnings that they walked away from that meant something to them, or was a kind of a light bulb, or maybe a don't want to do that again, like I'm going to mark that off my list. So we'll take either one. So Rob, why don't I kick us off? What were your kind of general impressions about the conference, favorite moments, that type of thing?
Yeah, generally, what I found interesting, and I confirmed this with some conversations with other people, it's probably my seventh, eighth IBS, irritable bowel syndrome conference, but
Right.
this one had a different feel. There's a different energy amongst the people that were there, and I mean that in the sense that for years we've been talking about advanced technology and implementation of things for home builders and data analytics and all of those topics. And everybody nods their head and writes their notes. And there doesn't seem to be a real energy to now apply. But this year it was much different. Everybody was asking really great questions in the sessions, having private conversations. The speakers that were there, the topics they were presenting, it was different. It was as if everybody's going to go back and actually apply it now. That they were looking for ways to put things in place. When COVID hit, the whole world, the whole home building industry moved forward 5 years and 5 weeks. And then things came so fast and furious, there was kind of another 2-year pause. And I think that 2-year pause has left everybody at the starting gate. So now they're ready to go and apply all of these new technologies and new processes. And that's really what I came away with.
And I would say also, to add to that, this fall, where it got a little quiet and it dipped a little bit, I think got our attention as well. Like, hey, we got to get back on our game. I noticed the same. It seemed like the audience wanted more advanced, more in-depth information. And that's hard to do in just 30 minutes or whatever time you're 20 minutes, 15, whatever you're given on your panel. Reyna, what about you? What overall impressions did you come away with, or favorite moments?
Yes, I can agree more with Rob. It was like the energy, but also the humanity after the pandemic. This was just the second one that I've attended since after the pandemic, because I think we have 2 years of virtual. And it didn't feel like it was from a textbook. I feel like a lot of the speakers were sharing from a self, experience, firsthand experience on what learned over the last 2 years. So there was a connection from that being vulnerable. It's like we learn from this, not what we're doing together to move forward. So that was one of my takeaways, right? It was a self-experience, sharing from professional and personal balance, and just resetting the mindset of not just marketing, but also our sales team online, on site, because they're in front of the customer. So they had to kind of reset their mindset and see every challenge as an opportunity. So it was definitely just the energy and balance, just being vulnerable. It's like, we're all humans, we're all learning this together. And the last 2 years have been hard.
And that's what is so amazing about being part of a trade association like National Association of Home Builders, which then trickles down to your state home builders and your local home builder. Also, this is why we do National Sales and Marketing Council, that then trickles down to your local Sales and Marketing Council, because the people who attend these are the people generally that are willing to share. Now, we can't tell everything, right? We have our little trade secrets, but that is the beauty. And that has always been what's been behind Builder Town Hall and the impetus for this platform. Erin, how about you? What observations, feelings, or favorite moments did you walk away with?
I just want to second what Rob and Reyna said. It really was the energy of the space. I think hearing that 200 number, I was thinking it was 140, but to hear 200, I think that really kind of keys in that it was a ton of people, a ton of energy, and everybody was really looking for that connection. So to stop and chat in the hall, and the attendance for the education sessions were amazing. There really was just such a great buzz about it, but I think that resonates for what people are looking for, just that connection and that human interaction, and that missing link that's been there for the last few years. So
and that's maybe what we're seeing in our buyers. Our traffic is up, people are interacting more with you, and I think all of this kind of flows together in a really good way. So yeah, it's hard for us here on this platform to replicate the energy, but that is the number one thing I would agree. Out of 200,000 total between the 5 shows, get this, 70,000 were the builder show. So yes, we had multiple shows going on that you had access to, but the largest portion of it, of any of the 5, was our group. So that's pretty incredible. Rob, why don't you kick us off? What was one of your learning points or notes, something you took away from that you think our group could benefit from?
Well, first and foremost, it was one that wasn't talked very much about in depth, was Chat GPT and AI technology and how quickly they're evolving. It was as if everybody has gone through something the last 3 months after the speaking proposals were already accepted. And this was a topic everybody was interested in. So I can definitely see a lot more about that coming in the future. But I think a lot of it goes back to some basic blocking and tackling we've been talking about, but a lot of builders haven't gotten to. Transparency in the things that you're doing. We have a network in our franchising section, about 80 plus builders, and across our franchise network, we have conversations with them a lot that the buying process is no longer completely controlled by you. The buyer has control. And if they're not getting the information they need from you on your website and your materials, they're going to just pass over you and move to the builders that are supplying it. So if you can start to be more transparent in what you have to offer, how much it costs, what it's going to look like, then you're going to have an opportunity to talk with those buyers. If you're not, they're not going to engage with you at all.
You know, it's interesting, Rob. I've been encouraging our clients on their websites. It's interesting that you're saying that, because I'm trying to move them to almost more of a Zillow approach, not that it just in that all of the information, all the listings, as many photos, detailed descriptions. You know, you've really got to think of it more almost like an online store, shopping cart, e-commerce activity. I know some are going full blown with that, and we've had past town halls on that topic. One more thing before I bring Reyna and Erin in on theirs would be that Chat GPT, good Paul Tom, Chat GPT, and AI, that was a big hallway conversation topic. You're right, there weren't a lot of sessions on it, but as usual, we're going to break ground here on Builder Town Hall. In our next town hall, I'm going to tackle it March 3rd. It's first Friday at noon. We've been dealing with that, with it and exploring it a lot here at Meredith Communications. I don't know that we have any or all of the answers at all, but I'm happy to share with everybody what I'm learning about AI and how all that works. So I wanted, before I forget, I want to bring that in. Reyna, how about you? What was a top learning note that you took away or observed?
Yes, one of the things, I'm biased with online sales, right? So one of the sessions that I attended, Angela was there, and I still, within 15 years where this role has evolved, there's still only 80% that builders that have an online sales team, right? Not everybody still have an online sales team. So that's still kind of shocking. Or
yeah,
also,
that makes my head hurt worse.
or even resizing their teams, right? Or taking it to a different setup where the online sales has to be local, just like your new consultants and on-site team.
Yeah.
So that's one of them. Like, we're going back to personalization versus automation, because we had to customer experience for the customer, and the customer, the company owns the lead, right? From lead creation all the way to warranty. It doesn't necessarily, everybody has to take responsibility from that experience that we provide for the customers. And it starts with the online sales team. So like I said, I'm a little biased with that, right? We definitely had the need for the online sales team during the pandemic. It was crazy busy on, leads and volume of phone calls. Adding definitely now the texting and video. Like, if you're not doing texting and video, you're falling behind on getting that customer fast response and that patient. So it was still like, wow, we're not at 100% yet.
Yeah, that blows my mind. That I did not hear that number while I was there. It's probably good. That I would start booing in the audience, like not at the presenter, but at that number. We need to be at 100%. One of the things that I picked up and really felt what you were saying, Reyna, about it being so busy was our previous sales cycle was more a test of endurance, of keeping the energy up to manage the flood that was coming at us. And now in this market, this is a test of relationship building. This is how many conversations, not leads, but just conversations, Rob said, transparent, that start online, move to your online sales specialist, eventually to your sales office, but you've just got to get some conversations going. And it seems like their buyers are more in the mood to converse with us. Erin, I know you're going to share some pictures of some design trends. I'm so pleased and thankful that you joined our panel today, because we don't necessarily always talk a lot about design. I'm planning a future show later this year that will be totally design related. And I'm excited about doing that. But I know that you've got some thoughts on why consumers are kind of where they are with what they're wanting. So why don't you share a couple of your thoughts?
Yeah, I think some of my biggest takeaways just in sitting in the different trend sessions with us doing model merchandising and the interior design piece, it was heavy on trend focus. But I think a few things really resonated. Pella did a great job kind of with the overview of how we arrive at trends and kind of what those top Google searches are, what are the highest viewed pieces in the news, and how do we take that information and then relate it to what the buyers need and what they're looking for in that home experience. And so I think it was really interesting to see that from the top level and then dial it down into the colors and the curves, and everything's not as clean. Minimalist fatigue was one of the big things that was a topic of conversation. It's not just gray. People are really looking for quality and color and a little bit of depth, where I think that it translates to that emotional connection too.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, so it seems like, Rob, from what you heard or learned or talked about, that people really, they want what they want. They want as much personalization, not only in their marketing, but in their choice of what they live in. And they're still super focused on home being the center of everything, of spending a lot of time in their home.
Yeah, lifestyle is, we're a 55 plus builder, so lifestyle is very much the focus of everything that we do. They've had the big yard, they've had the big home. Now they're really looking for the other things they want to do. So how do you personalize every aspect of the buying process? And I will second Reyna and her comments about online sales counselors. 40% of our sales are going through our OSCs at this point. We expanded that department and increased their involvement in overall sales. Walk-ins as a trend are continuing to go down. More and more, if not all, of your traffic is starting online 100% really, but it's that conversion of people from the online experience into the buying process that is so critical. And that team, if you don't have them, I absolutely believe that you should very quickly, because if you don't, you're about to be left behind. But the personalization that an OSC can do, that the marketing teams can do within the language they're providing to the buyers with the online experience. Do I get to choose my home? Do I now get to design my home online? Moves you into being engaged. I'm building my home, not looking at a house. And I think that's really where the change happens.
What a great quote. Yeah. Say that again. I'm building my home.
Rather than just looking at representations of a house.
Yeah. That's fantastic. I love that. Erin, you have some pictures, I think, to share with us. You want to hit the share button? Hopefully it'll work easily for you. Yeah.
Let's see.
There we go. Yeah. Here's some, I am obsessed with all things blue interiors. So I'm super excited to see that this is still a thing.
Me too. I think this kind of translates to a few different things. So I think it's the quality that people are looking for. I think it's the color, so that the deep, rich tones, not just the blues. We're going to see the greens and those mauve colors. And I think just a little bit more luxurious finish. People are moving away from some of the really clean lines and just that straight levelness to some of those arches, some of those softer features. So it's really fun to see it come through in lots of different finishes and lots of different places.
Yeah.
I think another big one that we saw was just that multi-sensory. So in the pandemic, just kind of that high tech, but translating to the high touch now. So the need to kind of see those finishes. And I'll show you, my favorite booth was the Kohler booth. They did such a phenomenal job with the experience itself, but I think it really translates to all 5 senses and how we can accommodate that in our homes. And then the last one that I just wanted to touch on really quick was individualism. So connecting to the buyer, doing the research, kind of looking at the demographics and seeing how that translates to what resonates with them. I think just a really big piece for people right now is, how does this translate to me? I know Rob was talking about, it's not just a home, it's my home. And I want that to be something that I can personalize. So those bespoke places and those special touches really, really mean a lot to our buyers right now.
Yeah, they want to feel like it's for them, about them. You know, that's what I wrote in the Fantastic Marketing, Fantastic Selling books, was make it about the fans, your fans, you know. And when you make something about them and not so much about yourself, the brand. Now, of course, there is a place for branding in our marketing, but as we have our conversations, making it about them, and that really, Reyna, is what the online specialist role does. That's what you all are so good at. Was there anything that you picked up at the show on that, like any little nuggets of personalization or kind of relationship building that you picked up?
Yes, I think, just like Rob mentioned, I think now that we definitely have the time to invest and create the trust and ask those questions. One of the sessions that I attended, and it was with Corey, was developing that cultural empathy, and is finding the intangible. What home means for the customer is not the same that it might mean to you, right? Some of them share that it was safety, right? It was definitely memory. So it was just a different meaning of home. And that's one of the things that our online sales team would, across the board, the builders to be trained on before they get to the model home with their needing consultant. Let's spend the time to create that cultural empathy of finding what home means to them. So that's very important, building the trust and building that relationship. And that was one of the things that we talked about, or even to the point of hiring professionals that represent your demographic and your market, right?
Oh, I love that.
Face to face with your customer.
Yes.
And not connect, but to communicate and have that different perspective. You can do your market research on what that would look like, but it could be on the on-site to the construction side that they can communicate in their own language or have that, connection with them.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Rob.
I was going to pick up on that. In addition to cultural, there's also generational. And it's something that's really a key factor, I think, across all of home building right now, as Gen Xers are turning into the 55 plus buyers, as millennials are going to move up, as Gen Y, Gen Z, whatever you want to call it, is moving into first time buyer. There's a lot of changes that are happening. And one area is trust. I think that was a topic that was brought up. As a solid Gen Xer, if you try to talk to me too much, I don't trust you. So and this is one of the topics we brought up in one of our presentations, trust with a Gen X is built by giving me what I need online. I will trust you if you give me the transparency of your pricing and your what you have available, so that I can do the research myself. And when I'm ready, I will reach out to you and talk. But if I don't get those bits of information from my research, my trust level is not going to be as high. And it's just, I think we have to look at not only cultural, but also generational, and how it's going to be impacting every aspect of the home building industry.
And what I love about what both of you are saying, it means this would translate into our industry and our peers into a more diverse, broader collection of voices. I know I went out of my way kind of seeking that out, because I'm looking for that. Even a guest here on Town Hall, we just need to hear from more, all kinds of generations and backgrounds and locations where people are from. And I just think that is only going to make us stronger as an industry, as well as serve our customers better. Erin, anything you want to jump in on that, kind of how it translates in the design world?
I think it's just an understanding of people. I know I love the Enneagram, and I'm into, I think as a company, we're doing a lot of work with it right now too. So I think it translates to really what people are looking for, that the understanding that everybody does receive information differently. And the more that you can provide, the more that they're going to trust and respect and be interested in what you have to say. So
Yeah, we naturally feel more trusting of people like us, like ourselves. But that's where we want to, as an industry, we want to push ourselves and broaden who we recruit and who we're working with. But with customers, what Reyna was saying is so important. Yeah.
To be able
What else? Go ahead.
One
Jump.
what Rob mentioned is a multi-generational, right? And that just doesn't go demographic, but also goes with the millennials, right?
Yes.
Erin, in one of the sessions, are moving back home after college. So you need those two separate, either a guest suite downstairs or two separate owner suites, because the parents are moving back or the kids are moving back from college, right? I'm sending mine off, but I know they're going to come back as a boomerang. Like Chelsea mentioned in one of the sessions. So having that space for them, having those designs for them, for that customer. But again, it's just all comes to what home means to the customer and what they really need when they have to create that multi-generational.
Yeah. And we've been talking about multi-generational spaces for some time, but I don't know that we've really necessarily seen that kind of coalesce into a demand, but it is a very strong one. Certainly since the pandemic, we're living with more and more of our family members, which I'm not sure is a good or bad thing, but it is what it is. All right, let's do one more round. Rob, what's another learning point, observation, something you walked away with?
One session with Tim Costello, that he talked about used homes are gross. Why do we have such a hard time selling against used homes with old carpet, old appliances, leaky roofs, pest problems, and yet somehow they still sell more homes than we do in the new home building industry? That just captures it all in a short session. I was like, we should be doing much better than we're doing.
I think that's a great analogy and a point. It is. It's hard to understand why it doesn't appeal to more, but maybe people have a hard time understanding what we're doing, visualizing what we're doing. They're assuming it's more expensive.
It seems complicated, and oftentimes it's because we make it complicated. And I think the more we can do to simplify the process, communicate the process, the more trust the buyer will be that this can happen quickly and that I can get exactly what I want.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, Erin, how about you? What's something you want to get in and share before we wrap up this part of the segment?
I think I'm happy to share a few more color trends. I think
let's see it.
Sherwin-Williams does such a fantastic job with their colors, and I know that's always a fun one people ask about. So I can share a few of those. And I combined kind of their color palettes. So I think what we saw in Benjamin Moore and Pantone, the Viva Magenta, so those really bold colors were the statement colors of the year. But I think what Sherwin-Williams does is they do a great job kind of translating how to use that in your homes in other color palettes, and how you can take that one color and make it a statement, but then integrate it with the other pieces that translate to our buyers as well. So they had some great swatches and some fun fabrics. You can see everything's really tactile. So the biome is more of those jewel tones, and the lure is talking to the textures that people are really resonating with. So just things are looking more to that quality, that craftsmanship, that artisan feel. And then also, let's see, while we were there just in the desert itself, I really thought that Nexus color palette translated across, but it's fun to see how the different regions kind of probably resonate more with different colors, or some of those palettes translate more to some of the different generations too. But I think it's always fun to see these and looking forward to the next year ahead.
Did they give any rationale behind why we're in the mood for more color? Is it just the normal cycle shift where we've been so monochromatic for a while and minimalist, and so we just go the other way naturally? Or is it something that has to do with what we're experiencing, in the world?
It has to do with what we're experiencing in the world. And I think it's so interesting that kind of our starting conversation about IBS in general was the energy itself. So Sherwin-Williams, the 4 collections together make their Terra. And it was kind of the energy we're taking away from and the energy we need to restore ourselves. And these color palettes were kind of a translation of all of that. So I think that's a great question, because that's absolutely how they arrived at the colors that we're seeing this year. And I think how buyers are experiencing their home, what they need from their home, that we do need it to be a respite, but the energy that we're getting from the spaces that we're in. Vegas was very frenetic and a lot of busyness. So in going home, you are looking for more of those restorative colors. But with that Origins palette, it is very primary, and some of those colors are deeper and richer. That I think that's the energy we need when we go out of the world to put into the space. So it's fun to see it all translate.
I love it. I've always been a color person. Hello. So I like that I'm actually back in style again, because I just couldn't do the monochromatic. It's beautiful and I love it on all the pictures on all of your websites, but I've always been a color person, so I'm happy to hear I'm finally back in style. Reyna, Rob, anything else you guys want to jump in with coming out of your notes? I don't want to.
Yes, I think one of the sessions that I attended, Meredith, I'm trying to remember, it was kind of the handoff process for the online to on-site, right? That we need to put our customer hats on and finding where the challenges are between the handoff process to make sure that is seamless for the customer experience, right? It's the company's customer that we're taking care of. We want this untouchable rhythm between online and on-site, that communication, that connection. So I think that's going to be a big one. It's definitely still a new role, right? It's been, in practice for 15 years, but always trying to find those. It's still new, right? To the industry. The industry days might be more established. But also something that I got from the sales rally, Jen Barkin shared this, of having that mentality of thank you versus you're welcome, and treating every customer as gold, right? To appreciate them because they're contacting us and giving us that opportunity. I know marketing has done all the work to get us the customers, but appreciate every customer opportunity that you have.
Yeah, and that's really, Rob, go ahead.
No, I was just going to continue with that. It's kind of like think like a retailer. That was a theme in a lot of sessions that I was in, is think about the best of retail and what they're doing and how do we apply it to our world. Also the simplicity theme, I'll just continue on that a little bit. This is a quote I got from someone else and I can't remember who it was, is we're not just being judged against the builder down the street anymore, but the best digital experience regardless of industry. So people are hitting retail, they're hitting online, they're hitting all of these different experiences. And then they come to home building and it seems like they're stepping back in time to a large degree. If I can completely personalize a car online, why can't I do it with a home that costs 10 times more? And that's where we have to start to think, is we're not just being judged against other home builders. We're being judged against other industries and other experiences.
Yeah. And that's where, when I was using the analogy of Zillow, that in the website experience, that's what I meant. I don't know that I fully fleshed that idea out, but that's exactly what I meant. Your builder website is being judged against multi-million-dollar apps that have a lot of time and money have gone into it. It's not perfect, and we could have a whole nother meeting about that, which would probably get me in a lot of trouble, so I'll stop talking on that. But the point is, yes, whether it's a massive international real estate app, or it's Home Depot, or it's whatever retailer, online retailer, that is the experience that they're looking for. However, and this is where I'm going to offer an encore version of my session that I did. Sidebar, if you could in the chat, chime in. Builder Town Hall always meets first Friday at noon. When would be your favorite day of the week and time for that encore presentation of memorable marketing? if you'll chime in and kind of let me know, I'll schedule it so that, you know, it works best for everybody's schedules. But the point I was making in that was simplicity. So it's like, we have to give all of this online, but yet we have to make it uber simple and our message so clear. And these are two things that are very hard to do well at the same time. So that's I can offer some insights on that. Thank you, Melissa. I appreciate that. But yeah, if you'll just chime in what day of the week and what time of day is best for you, we will get to that. All right. Reyna, Rob, and Erin, thank you so much. This was a big ask today. You didn't get a lot of direction. I kind of threw you in it. This is how town hall works at the speed of light, because we want to react quickly. And if I plan too far ahead, then we're not really responding to what people need and want to hear. So we want to thank you. You can mute and turn off your cameras. Angela, I'm going to invite you back. Hi, Ange.
Hey. Yeah, that was
How are
great.
you?
That was great. You know what, when we talked about this session, I jotted down some notes, and I had appetite for learning. I had building relationships, customer experience, building trust. I had all these words that every single one, like Rob, Erin, and Reyna all used. So I love it. I think there was so much passion at the Builder Show.
Yes.
And that to me is, if to all of you out there, if I know it's impossible to give all your team members the opportunity to go, but if you can open it up to a few more people within your organization, I think it just creates that much more excitement and passion, and elevates the opportunities.
I like how it opens you up to how big of a world home building is internationally. You're part of a much bigger, for lack of a better term, club, fraternity, sorority, whatever term you want to use. You're part of something really big and powerful and amazing. It's not just your little cubicle at your one builder in your market. Yeah,
Wow.
when you see the scope of what's out there and who and how many, it's pretty powerful. So don't everybody sit tight. We're not quite done. Don't leave yet. I wanted to give some tips, and I don't know about you, but when I finish up with something and I've got pages of notes, sometimes they kind of get stuck in a spiral notebook on my bookshelf and don't necessarily make it to action items. How about you?
Oh my goodness. I mean, you take pictures of slides and you take notes, and yeah, they do. They kind of, you're on the airplane home and you are all excited. Actually, you end up watching a movie on the way home.
Yes.
On the way there, you may do work, but on the way home, you often watch a movie.
Yeah.
But sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, when I traveled full time, my rule was work on the way there, fun on the way home. Like, if you did a good job at the presentation, I didn't have to work on the way home. The first tip I want to give you all, if you haven't already, schedule some time. You need maybe 30 minutes, 45 tops. Schedule some time of when you're going to go through your notes to create some lists for yourself. So you need a to-do list. I would keep it very short because you're already all so busy. I'm thinking 3 to-dos would be plenty, Angela.
Yeah, and you know what? Schedule them, but also schedule them. They don't have to all be done at once.
No.
I think that's the key, is to schedule your to-do list, but look out in advance and have check-ins, right?
Yes.
Absolutely. You can't do it. And that's the challenge with an event like this, is you try to do everything all at once.
Yeah. And then you get overwhelmed, you get back in your old habits and routines. So if you have not made your top 1 to 3 priorities to-dos, then you need to schedule some time just to review your notes, like pre-block and get to that. The other thing would be, once you kind of get those to-dos, then think about who else do you want to involve in these but don't just all of a sudden run into all of your team members' office and go, we're changing everything, throw away everything, blow up the website. They will be overwhelmed. And remember, they maybe, if they didn't get to go, they don't have that same kind of perk of energy and excitement you have. They frankly don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And I would, one of the great things about the Builders Show and a lot of other events is that all of the sessions are recorded. And it gives you, so think about some of the sessions you attended, and for those that didn't attend, incorporate them into a sales meeting, incorporate them into an overall company meeting. That way, and that's when you can start to go, okay, that you can relate that to how you do business, and then start to build out how you want to change and how you want to incorporate that information.
And that's exactly where I was going. You've read my mind yet again, was thinking about educating the people around you, sharing some of the why and the background information to get them to where you are at the to do what we're going to do next phase. Just remember, they don't have all those blanks filled in. So either purchasing recordings, and then almost like a book club, you could have the team say, okay, you've got 2 weeks to listen to this 30-minute session before and then each of you present, share one aha, and then just bring them along on the journey with you. You're going to get a lot more buy-in and excitement from your team. This is definitely true. Everybody in leadership, you builder owners out there, even like your builder 20s, you go to those things, you learn a lot, you come back, and the rest of everybody is going, I don't know what he or her, what they're talking about.
You bring up a good point with Builder 20, Meredith, because the reason why, and for those that don't, I'm sure a lot of you know what the Builder 20 groups are. It's a group of 20 builders, and there's a number of these groups that are NAHB driven. And it's non-competitive. They can share everything. One of the great things about the Builders Show is those connections and the relationships, and being able to reach out and build your group of like-minded builders that you can kind of keep accountable. Meredith and Carrie and I keep each other accountable. And you look at all this information that you learn from the Builders Show, find some people that can help you stay accountable and keep you moving forward. And that's a huge benefit. You all do that. I was going to say you guys, because you guys is my Canadianism, but you do. And I think that is absolutely key to moving forward after any of these events, is having someone to kind of keep you moving forward.
If you took pictures of slides, another tip I have for you is to create an album on your phone and get them out of your regular camera roll into some kind of folder. Maybe you want to favorite them. Just find a way, because we've all got 3 million photos on our phone of a variety of things, and it's hard to really make use of those pictures when they're all mixed in. Shannon, this is a great tip. Shannon chimed in on chat. She says she created buckets for her notes at the show: immediate actions, reminders, and then ideas for group discussion / consideration. And that is exactly what I've been driving at with this kind of sharing people with and getting them to come along the journey with you, so that you all can really think about what makes sense for you, which leads me to the next thought, which is, not everything you heard does work for your business. So just because somebody said it as if it was the Bible gospel, and I can say that I'm in the Bible Belt here in the southeast of the United States, but whatever term you want to use, just because somebody said on stage, this is the only way to do something, it doesn't make it right for your business. So think about if you were to go back up 30,000 feet to more the concept they were trying to get across. How would you use that concept in your business? And maybe something is a to-do one of Carrie's favorite things, and she's on an airplane at the moment, but she always likes to talk about, don't forget, you're also learning your to-don'ts. So there may be things that you want to do, but there also may be things that you don't want to do. Maybe it's working for somebody else, or it's just a practice that you want to stop.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You know, one thing that I try to do, and I am not perfect at this by any means, Meredith, but before I attend an event, I set my expectations and goals too of what I want to get out of the event.
I love that.
And what I often will do as well, or if there's, you know, what I have asked people to do in the past, and I've done it as well, is to the expectation of writing a company report or writing a recap or a synopsis of what you're going to get out, you know, and it just kind of reinforces it. First of all, it highlights the importance that your company has made the investment in sending you, that you need to deliver then something back. And it also just really keeps in the back of your mind, just like you asked Rob and Reyna and Erin to take notes of the show. Okay, it opens up your eyes of, okay, what am I learning and what is important? What are those key takeaways? It then makes it that much easier to kind of move forward and then say, okay, this is what I want to implement. This is what I don't want to implement.
And that's my final tip or reminder on this topic in terms of bringing everything together and actually making use of the investment of your time and your employer or your own budget to attend is, don't forget to thank whomever sent you. If you're not some of you are entrepreneurs in our audience, or you work for yourself, but many of you work for organizations who sent you. Have you sent a text or a thank you email to your boss just saying, hey, I really appreciated this opportunity. I learned a lot. They might ask you what you've learned and open up a whole conversation, but I just think we do forget to think, and we just assume, you know, they had to send me or they want. Now, it's a huge investment. Las Vegas is a very expensive place, and it's time out of the office, etc. So make sure you're thanking the people that gave you that opportunity. Okay, so a couple of last reminders. Next month in March, we will be back to First Friday. So that's March 3rd. We're going to, like I said, tackle the whole artificial intelligence, writing, how it impacts Google ads. It's going to be marketing heavy, but don't you worry, sales folks, I'll work you in there. So would love to have everybody on that, because I think it's going to take all of us to figure that out. And none of us have the perfect answer on those tools yet, but they're pretty exciting. So I think we need to start a conversation about them. Be on the lookout for two things also in March. One will be, as I said, it's a bad time to be boring, creating memorable marketing. That's a session that I did at the show. I've been doing an encore online version for anybody who didn't get to see that. So I'll be scheduling that, putting that in the Facebook group. And then last, I'm going to start something new starting in March for Builder Town Hall. And I'm going to offer what's called, I'm going to call it office hours. Like your favorite professor at school who has an open slot where you can just show up. We'll do networking, or you can just show up and ask questions. But I'm going to offer once a month office hours, which will just have a live stream in our Facebook group. And any of you, as many of you want to join in, you'll be on camera, I'll be on camera. We're just going to talk and network and solve any challenges that you have. So be on the lookout for office hours. I think that'll be really fun. Yeah, and just be a different format than what we have here. It will not be a pre-planned presentation by me or any of my other cohorts. So if you don't show up, basically what I'm going to do is hang out 15 minutes. If nobody can make office hours after 15 minutes, I'll close it down. But if you do show up, please plan to talk. So none of this like multitasking while you're doing your email and a bunch of other stuff like you're doing right now. That's fine. But in that format, we're going to need engagement to really make it work. So I'm going to just try something new and see how that flies. Okay,
I
are
love
we
it.
all set? Okay, well, awesome turnout today. Even we've got a huge list that the recording will be going out to. We'll have the video recording as well as the audio only, so you can digest it in whatever format works best for you. On behalf of Angela, Carrie, and myself, thank you, Rob Krohn, Epcon Communities, Erin Hurley, Lita Dirks and Company, Reyna Estrada, M Homes. We love you, we appreciate you, we thank you, and we thank all of you for tuning in today. That's the best of the Builder Show and not irritable bowel syndrome. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next one. Okay, bye.
Bye.